My name is Guy Schumann. I'm the CEO and founder of a young Luxembourg company called RSS-Hydro, which focuses in on research and development in flood products and services. Together with the Luxembourg Institute of Science and Technology, also known as LIST, and Italian-based company FadeOut Software, we are about to launch a new joint venture startup called WASDI, with myself and of course others in the company management board. Today I would like to talk to you about our efforts to develop an application for the disaster risk financing industry in Southeast Asia that is building upon the famous Copernicus program. But first, let me go back in time. When I started working in this field about 15 years ago, we did of course not have the Copernicus mission. Back in the day, you had to task one of the very few satellites to acquire images during a flood. And if you were lucky enough, you got such an image close to peak discharge, but you still had to wait several days before the image was finally sent to you, and you could start processing it on a single desktop computer. So it goes without saying, of course, that it was extremely difficult to build any operational service under such circumstances. So today we've come a very long way. Nowadays, the Sentinel missions of ESA do not require any tasking. They acquire data all the time, and it's a real game changer. In Europe and many other regions in the world, you get images, for example, every second day. Now it is possible to envisage, of course, a truly operational, always-on satellite-based flood monitoring system. The radar systems on board, for example, Sentinel-A, B, and C now, represent at present the most powerful tool to monitor floods. Why? Well, because of their all-weather, day and night capability, their relatively high spatial resolution, and especially their short revisit time. The main mechanism producing a high contrast in a radar image between flooded and non-flooded land is the almost specular reflection from standing water, producing a very low radar backscatter. This property renders the mapping of open and calm water like flooding by means of SAR observations very straightforward. To map floodwaters, we usually use a pair of images and apply a change detection algorithm to see what changed between a dry and flooded or wet scene. The problem is that areas where floodwaters typically appear represent only a small fraction of the area covered by the entire image. We use therefore a patented hierarchical tiling approach that sequentially cuts the difference image into tiles of different sizes to calibrate the parameters of the classification algorithm that is then applied to the entire image. With this approach, we can efficiently generate flood maps and monitor the extent of flooding over time. We can also apply the algorithm on the data from the past held in archives in order to produce flood frequency maps or to map changes in permanent water bodies. We have implemented the software that embeds our algorithm on our own exploitation platform called WASDI that provides fast access to that imagery and enables an extremely efficient processing of the satellite data. We have a quasi-continuous stream of radar data now thanks to Copernicus, and we have the technology in place to extract and share information in a timely manner. The next step was to develop an application that can be used to systematically monitor water bodies at large scale using Copernicus data and to combine our data with other pieces of information to develop new services. Let me go into a use case now for disaster risk financing industry. So who's using the service we have implemented? Recently, the European Space Agency and the World Bank have teamed up to enhance the use of satellite-derived information in the disaster risk financing sector. To help insurance and reinsurance organizations like Swiss Re, for instance, to better understand flooding-related disaster risk in all its dimensions, we have implemented for them in a first prototype of a systematic Sentinel-1-based flood mapping service in Myanmar and Laos, two countries where risk associated with natural disasters are frequently not well known, mostly due to lack of observation records. So in order to support people that are victims of natural disasters, insurance companies do not necessarily indemnify the pure loss, but may agree to make the payment upon the occurrence of a rare high-magnitude event. However, such payouts will then need to be triggered by clear and transparent rules and protocols, of course, agreed prior to implementation. So how does that work? I mean, every day, all Sentinel-1 images acquired over the region of interest are stitched together and processed with our algorithm on the cloud to then generate a flood extent map for the entire region. This map is then compared to several pre-calculated model-based flood extent maps, and we select the model scenario, so the simulation scenario that shows the highest agreement with the satellite-derived information. This flood extent map is then combined with a population density map to estimate the number of people affected on a given date in different sub-areas of a country. If the total number of affected people then exceeds the trigger threshold that is based on a definition to be agreed with the client, the decision is taken to make the payments. Our prototype has been extensively tested by ourselves and different insurance and reinsurance companies during Southeast Asia monsoon season in 2019. Now we are setting up a service level agreement with our partners to start operations in both countries with the aim to improve the emergency response of the region. Of course, we are also planning extensions to other countries as well. In Luxembourg here, for instance, we are using the system on demand, so to say, whenever a major flooding event occurs in the country. For example, in February this year, 2020, several rivers in Luxembourg burst their banks and caused widespread flooding all over the country. With our WASDI system, we were able to send to the National Water Agency a map displaying the extent of the flooding at the scale of the entire country. However, systematically mapping flooded areas at large scales in a fully automated way using radar data still represents a challenging problem. And I won't hide that more research and innovation is needed to continuously improve the reliability of our services. For instance, mapping flooded vegetation and urban areas remains a challenging problem, and advanced algorithms are needed to reduce misclassifications. Other challenges that are encountered are related to surface topography, for example, or particular land covers and atmospheric conditions. We continue to work, therefore, with our partners from LIST and others to constantly improve our system in order to satisfy the needs of our customers.